Alright, you guys, so I'm here to review Ant-Man. And Ant-Man is the latest movie from Marvel Studios, the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the Avengers universe. And it's closing out Phase 2, and we're getting ready to start Phase 3 with Captain America Civil War. Now, basically, if you guys don't know anything about the Ant-Man comics or anything like that, with Marvel, it's okay because they always end up changing a lot of stuff. They take like overall story elements from certain arcs and they apply it to a movie, but they make a bunch of different changes to it. So it's new and fresh, and it's a bunch of stuff that you won't see coming. And so this movie was supposed to be directed by Edgar Wright. He left because him and Marvel had creative differences and yada yada yada. The one that Edgar Wright had ready to go was not the one that Marvel wanted for the current cinematic universe with the way it ended up. So that we now have Peyton Reed in the director's chair for this, and starring Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, Michael Douglas as Hank Pym, Evangeline Lilly as Hope Van Dyne, Corey Stoll as Darren Cross, and Michael Pena as Luis, T.I., I think he was David, and yeah, let's talk about Ant-Man. Alright, so basically the plot of Ant-Man is... I'm sorry guys, I'm very, very excited. Basically the plot of Ant-Man is we meet Scott Lang, who has been in prison, and because he is a thief, he's a burglarer, because if you try to call him a robber, he'll correct you as to why he's not actually a robber. But, anyway, and he gets out of prison. Eventually some stuff happens and he meets Hank Pym, who way back in the day created this formula so he can put it in his suit so he can shrink to the size of an ant. Long story short, Hank Pym needs Scott Lang's help to take down his mentee, the guy who looked up to him, Darren Cross, played by Corey Stoll, who is trying to recreate that formula and use it for the Yellow Jacket program. Now, what I thought of Ant-Man is I love this movie. Obviously, it's Marvel. I was going to love it anyway. High hopes for this. Everything looked great from this movie. Everything sounded great. Now, I had my worries when Edgar Wright left for a little bit, and then once the stuff started coming out, like the trailers and whatnot, I'm like, alright, my worries are still there, but they're mostly gone. And when I seen this movie, you can definitely feel a little bit of Edgar Wright's presence throughout the movie. So it's not... Edgar Wright wasn't completely taken out. You can still kind of feel him a little bit. And but yeah, I love this movie. Let's talk about Paul Rudd as Scott Lang. And Scott Lang, if you guys don't know, is the second Ant-Man. He is the guy who comes in... Now, in the comics, he steals the Ant-Man suit, and Hank Pym finds out, and he trains him to be the new Ant-Man, eventually. And that's pretty much what happened in the movie, and guys, I will not spoil anything until the second half of the video, so if you don't want to be spoiled, don't worry, there won't be any spoilers in this first half. Let's talk about Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. Wow, dude, I'm not gonna lie, I was upset when they announced that they were going to do the Scott Lang Ant-Man and not the Hank Pym Ant-Man. I'm like, well, Hank Pym is Ant-Man, that's who I always associate Ant-Man with, is Dr. Henry Pym. But it worked out great. Michael Douglas was fantastic in this movie. Paul Rudd was great in this movie. Evangeline Lilly was great. Michael Pena was great. Corey Stoll was pretty good. I mean, the whole cast and everybody shined in this movie. The action scenes. I was so interested to see how they were going to do this with the visual effects, with him shrinking, and how they were going to make the background around him. It worked perfectly. You felt like you were down. You felt like you shrunk with him. It wasn't like... It was kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, but it was done much, much better. And I love that movie. So, yeah, Ant-Man, I had lots of fun with this movie. Let's talk about Corey Stoll as Darren Cross, a.k.a. Yellow Jacket. I'm hearing some mixed things about him as the villain. I liked him as the villain. I really did. There was a couple things when it comes to his character that didn't really work for me, but for the most part, I liked him as Darren Cross. I thought he played a great Darren Cross for this movie. Evangeline Lilly, she's hot. She kicks ass in this movie. I wasn't expecting Hope, Hank Pym's daughter. Yes, Evangeline Lilly is playing Hope Van Dyne, which is Hank Pym's daughter. And I wasn't expecting Hope to kick as much ass as she did in this movie, but that was great. Michael Pena, oh my God, some could argue that he stole the fucking show. I love I love Michael Pena. My favorite role of his has been in 30 Minutes or Less. I'm the satanic Hispanic, homie. You can't kill to me, bro. I got shot with a pen. And he pretty much uses the same accent in this movie. He steals the show. This movie is very, very funny. Like, it's about the same amount of comedy as maybe Guardians of the Galaxy, if not a little bit more. At least I thought. I will say, though, as much as I love Guardians of the Galaxy, and I praise that movie, and I will defend that movie if anybody says anything bad about Guardians of the Galaxy, Ant-Man, I don't know if this is because it's just fresh in my mind. I don't know. I have to watch it a couple more times. But right now, Ant-Man is, for me, I like it better than Guardians of the Galaxy. I know. It's still not Winter Soldier material, but it's for me, it's better than Guardians of the Galaxy. And I love that movie. All in all, guys, like I said, I really enjoy Ant-Man. If you're a fan of the Avengers universe or the Marvel Comics, or if you're a fan of Ant-Man in general, go check out this movie. And, Marvel, there are some stuff in the end credits. Sometimes they just do, like, one mid-credit scene. Sometimes they do, like, one scene at the very end of the credits. This one, there's two. There's one in the middle of the credits. And stick around there. Don't get up after the mid-credit scene is done, because there's another scene at the very end of the credits, which I think is the better one. But guys, these have two of the, definitely the second one, but these have like some of the best end credit, maybe the best end credit scenes of any Marvel movie ever so far. All in all, guys, right now I'm giving Ant-Man an A+. Yeah, A for Ant-Man, I don't know, A+, though. I loved Ant-Man, and I'm going to be talking about spoilers, so if you have not seen Ant-Man yet, stop watching right now. Alright, so spoilers, really not much I can talk about. Like I said, I really do love this movie. Mainly what I want to talk about is like the surprise cameos and the Easter eggs and the references. Kind of break those down a little bit. The beginning of the movie takes place in 1989 at S.H.I.E.L.D., and you see older Howard Stark. What was his name? The guy who played him, was it John Slattery or something like that? He played Tony Stark's father in Iron Man 2 in all the old video footage and stuff like that. He's back reprising his role as Howard Stark. I thought that was cool. Haley Atwell popped up in the beginning of this movie as Peggy Carter, much older, but not as old as in Winter Soldier. I wasn't expecting her to pop up in this movie. That was cool. The Falcon. Falcon, yes. Sam Wilson, the Falcon. Anthony Mackie. There's a whole great scene. It's a fight chase scene with Scott Lang and Falcon at Avengers headquarters, and it's awesome. For me, it was probably the best part of the movie. Yeah, I absolutely love that. Which I knew he was going to be in the movie, unfortunately, because they released a TV spot with him in it. And, I mean, it didn't show anything from the fight, so I had no idea that they were going to be fighting, but, yeah, it was cool to see him. There's a couple Easter eggs and stuff like that, like, they talk about Janet, a little bit. Hank kind of referenced how Janet is, well, he thinks he's dead, we believe she's dead, but at the end of the movie, there's that possibility, like, is it possible that she could still be alive if Scott survived this? So hopefully we'll get to see Janet. She was in like one little flashback scene, but there was nobody like really playing her. It was probably just some stunt double or stuntman or just something like that. But they did. She wasn't in her wasp suit, which was fine because they said that it wasn't done at that time. Like I said, What was I going to talk about? Oh, yes, there is a Spider-Man reference in here, and I guess I read that Spider-Man reference was added at the very last minute after the whole Spider-Man deal. Uh, and he's like, well, I don't remember the exact line, but it's something about, we got a guy who can swing, we got a guy who can crawl on walls, and I'm like, it's Spider-Man right there. So, you know, that was pretty cool. Stan Lee's cameo was pretty good. It's not one of my, like, I wouldn't put it in my top 3. Maybe in the top 5, but not in the top 3. Um, yeah, the end credit scene. Let's talk about the mid-credit scene first, with Hope getting the Wasp suit. That was pretty cool. I can't wait to see. I need to see Ant-Man 2 yesterday. Um, so, yeah, get started on that, please. I know there's nothing officially announced yet, but I'm hoping they announce something really, really soon, given that this movie is getting a lot of positive feedback. Um, so, yeah, and then the end credit scene. I'm pretty sure that this is an actual clip from Civil War, because you can tell that this scene couldn't have been directed by Peyton Reed. It doesn't have that Peyton Reed feel to it. Maybe he didn't. I just couldn't see it. But you got Cap and Falcon. They find Bucky, and Cap's like, well, we can't call Tony. There's no way he'll believe it. And then Falcon turns and says, I know a guy. And some people are saying that he's talking about Spider-Man. I never got that. We're watching Ant-Man right now. They wouldn't throw that scene in if they were talking about Spider-Man, really. Well, maybe they would. It is Marvel, but I'm pretty positive they're talking about Ant-Man. Because, you know, yeah, earlier in the movie after the fight, Falcon said, please don't tell anybody, or please don't tell Cap what just happened. So, and I think this point was the point that he was ready to introduce Ant-Man to at least Cap, if not the rest of the Avengers. So, all in all, guys, like I said, Ant-Man had a lot of fun with it. One thing that disappointed me a little bit, though, I will mention this. Corey Stoll was great as Darren Cross. It had that very Iron Man 1 feel to it, where it's like the businessman. It's very, like, there's not, too many action fight scenes of him in the yellow jacket outfit. Or the yellow jacket suit. I wanted him to be in the yellow jacket suit a little bit more, but it's not really a big deal. It's just a nitpicky thing, really. A+ Ant-Man. That's all I can say for today. And that's my old sign-off, so I'm so excited, guys. Yeah. Well, see you later.